Hello everyone, it's Stephanie, your CSA coach, and it is week 18 of our CSA shares. It's a B week for those of you that are half shares. A couple of quick announcements. We have a back to school challenge going on in our Facebook group. So an email went out regarding the details of that challenge, and there's also a pinned post in this Facebook group. So for details on what you can post, there's a bunch of different things, but it's basically a back to school theme, lunchbox, after school snacks, easy breakfast ideas. So anything that you're coming up with that makes life, once we're headed back to school, back to work in the fall, a little bit less stressful and overwhelming. So make sure you're posting for that for entries into our raffle. We will have 3 winners that I will pick on October 1st. So you have from now until then to make posts. So that's going on right now. Our On the Farm with Dakota will take place today at 5 p.m. on the farm. And then there's a volunteer opportunity this Saturday from 9 to noon at our Regalsville location, and it's to help the farmers harvest potatoes. So 9 to noon this Saturday. All right, jumping right into our shares, we had one U pick, and it's our shishito peppers. So we got to pick a quart of shishito peppers, super easy to pick. They're all over the plants. Shishitos are best stored in a plastic bag in the fridge or I just keep them in like a Tupperware in the fridge. They last for a while. You can freeze them to preserve them. You can grill them, you can saute them. I love just sauteing them on high heat and creating like a blistered shishito and using those as a side. You can throw them into, they're actually in the end of summer salsa recipe, which I'm making another batch today. What else? You can freeze them whole just like this. You can freeze them chopped up. You can throw them into stir fries. There's a bunch of recipes on the blog if you're looking for something different, but these get stored in the fridge, either in a Ziploc bag or in a Tupperware, and they will last for a while. So other than the one you pick, we have green bell peppers and we have sweet peppers. Both are stored in the fridge, in the crisper drawer, or in a Ziploc bag. These are great raw, great for after school snacks, great for snacks in the lunch. Pretty sure this week's recipe will showcase these guys. So stay tuned for that on Thursday. They can be grilled, they can be sauteed, they can be roasted on a sheet pan, they can be added to stir fries. They can be put in salads. So lots of options for sweet peppers and green bell peppers, but stored in the fridge in the crisper drawer. We got to pick 4 hot peppers, and hot peppers are used to add heat to a dish. So if you want to add heat to a salsa, or you want to add a little heat to guac or any type of sauce, you can use any of your hot peppers. There's been heat index graphics posted, so take a look at that. Bunch of different hot peppers. There were banana peppers, jalapenos, cherry bombs. I think there were 2 others that you could choose from, but you got to pick 4. These are stored just like our other peppers in the crisper drawer of the fridge or in a Ziploc bag or a plastic bag. I like, because I've been accumulating some hot peppers, we don't like a ton of heat, we like medium heat, so I don't use a lot. I like to freeze them and then I use them over the winter. So I typically will rinse off like the jalapeno, chop it up dice it up into rounds, throw it in a Ziploc bag, label it, and then throw it in the freezer. And then I use that throughout the winter to help add heat to dishes. So those are our hot peppers. We also received onions. Onions get stored in a cool, dry place. Onions are great, thinly sliced and added to salads raw. They can be caramelized, they can be sauteed, they can be roasted, they can be added to sheet pan meals, they can be grilled. So lots of options for them, and a lot of recipes call for onions, so they should be pretty easy to use. These get stored away from potatoes, so do not throw your potatoes and your onions into the same bin. they won't work well together. The potatoes give off moisture, and we want to keep these nice and dry. We also received garlic. Same idea with garlic, cool, dry place. Garlic is used to enhance dishes, add flavor. I love garlic, so I use it a lot in a lot of different dishes, and tend to use more than a recipe calls for because I like it so much. So these get stored in a cool, dry place. You can roast garlic. You can crush it up and add it to salad dressings, sauces, really good in salsas, really good in guacamole. That's our garlic. We received beefsteak tomatoes this week. So tomatoes get stored on the counter. These tomatoes are great sliced, used on BLTs. They are really good to make sauce, to make salsas. I still had some tomatoes left over from last week that I didn't use, so that's why I'm making the end of summer salsa that's on the blog today to use with dinner tonight or tomorrow night. So that's kind of just an easy dish where you throw a bunch of stuff together, and it's got great flavor, but I'm able to get rid of and use up a lot of my stuff that I did not use from last week. So we're using up the tomatoes from last week. These will go in its place, and then throughout the week this week, I'll use up these tomatoes. You can make tomato soup. You can roast them. I'm pretty sure there's a really good roasted tomato soup on the blog. So if you're looking for, now that we're getting into cooler weather, it's more soup season. So really good to use the tomatoes for that. We also received purple sun potatoes. These get stored in a cool, dry place away from our onions and our garlic. These are really good roasted. They're good grilled. I like to throw them either in like the foil packets or on a cast iron pan and just use the grill to roast them if it's warmer out. We do a lot of potatoes, and I'll do like a double batch of potatoes for dinner, and then the kids can use it for breakfast the next morning, so that they're already cooked and they just need to be heated through because potatoes take a while. These can be boiled, they can be sauteed, they can be roasted, they can be grilled. Cool, dry place. So we did receive a bunch of greens. We have our head lettuce. Head lettuce gets stored in a plastic bag in the fridge, preferably unwashed. Wash it when you're ready to use it. Great for salads, great for sandwiches, great for wraps, great to shred up and use for like tacos or fajitas and things like that. So that's our head lettuce. We also received kale. This kale is huge. So I'm gonna use a Debbie Meyer green bag, but it goes in a plastic bag in the fridge. It can be used raw, it can be sauteed, you can turn it into kale chips, you can blend it up and make green cubes for smoothies, you can just throw it like this into smoothies, you can juice it, so lots of options for kale. Kale is full of great nutrition, so even if you don't like it sauteed or raw as a side, try to blend it up and use it in different items. The meatloaf muffins from last week, the blog post from last week, blog recipe post, has greens incorporated into them, and I promise you cannot taste them. So it's a great way, especially if your kids do not like the greens, to hide your greens and get some extra nutrition by putting them in with like a meat. So that's our kale stored in the fridge. We got beautiful bok choy. Bok choy, same as kale, gets stored in a plastic bag. I'll use a big Debbie Meyer green bag in the fridge. Wash it and chop it when you're ready to use it. Now this bok choy, our white ribs, our white centerpieces are going to cook differently than the outside leaves. So when I go to prepare it, I will take the leaves off, chop those up, and then chop the white rib up separately. Really good just sauteed as a side or used in stir fry. But the leaves and the stems will cook at different times because of their different thicknesses. So make sure you separate out the two. So really good for stir fries, really good for a side. You could do like a garlic garlic, onion, and bok choy sauteed as a side. And then our last two items, we received beets. So the very first thing that you're gonna do with your beets is take off the greens. So we wanna take off the roots, store them in a plastic bag in the fridge, take off the greens, store them in a plastic bag in the fridge. Our greens are really good sauteed, just like any of our other greens. Again, if you're not gonna use them, throw them in your veggie scrap bag or turn them into green cubes. Use them for smoothies or use them in soups. Our bottoms, the roots, are great raw. You can pickle them, you can saute them, you can boil them, you can grill them. So lots of different options there. And there's a ton of recipes for beets on the blog. I know there's 2 pickled beet recipes. There's a beet slaw. I can't remember what else there is, but if you're looking for different recipes, go to the blog. New to the share this week are our radishes. Look how fun these radishes are. Same as the beets, we want to take the greens off. So take the roots, put those in a separate bag, store them in the fridge, take the greens off, put them in a separate bag, and store them in the fridge. The greens you want to use within the next few days. So that's probably the first thing you want to use from this week's share, this and the beet greens. You can use them raw in like a salad. You can combine them with the head lettuce or just use that as your base. You can do like a beet green or a radish green pesto. So you don't have to necessarily use basil for pesto. You can use other options. It would just taste a little bit different. So use our pesto PDF and you can use different greens for that. Or again, throw them into green cubes or into your veggie scrap bag for veggie broth if you're not going to use them. So tops can be used raw or can be sauteed. Bottoms, I love to pickle them. I love to slice them really thin and throw them on salad, or you could do like a fun toast, either like an avocado toast or a ricotta toast with some thinly sliced radishes. That would be yummy and beautiful looking. These can be roasted as well. So I'm pretty sure last year I did, or at the beginning of this year, I did a roasted radish recipe. So just go to the blog for that. Changes the flavor of them. So if you don't like the little bit of the spiciness that they give off, when you roast them, that goes away. So just another option for you. And that is actually it for this week. Make sure you're using up your stuff from last week. If you still have stuff left over, if you have any trouble or things that you're kind of stuck with, let us know. Tag me in any posts on the Facebook group or questions that you have. Just make sure you tag me so I see it. Make sure you are joining Dakota for Art on the Farm this Tuesday, today at 5, so in like an hour and 45 minutes. If you're available on Saturday, join the farmers for our volunteer opportunity harvesting potatoes at the Regelsville location, and make sure you're posting for our back to school challenge, which goes all the way through next week. So all this week and all next week, and there's lots of fun stuff that you could post. So take a look at the email or the pinned post on this Facebook group for information on that. And I will see you all again next week. Thanks.